really read books at all, so I would just say listen to some good music, dream a little dream. That's all.
I do read The Great Gatsby, and now I'm working on changing the ending of it.
My favorite book series of all time is probably the Selection series.
I would read The Girl on the Train.
Any questions? All right there, what do you got, Pizza?
If that were original, I would let that slide, but it happened yesterday, so I'm just not as impressed by it. So we'll move on. No, stop. Somebody else. You know what you should do? What year are you? Oh, okay, so that's not gonna really work unless you get it published, but here's what you could do because you're fascinated by that question. Take some time this evening, write down, I don't know, 2-3 pages of what your favorite planet is and why, right? And then next year, maybe you could contact Mrs. Ink, who I believe is your teacher, right? And maybe she could find a way to get you on a panel and you can come up here and talk about Uranus all you want. Other questions? I'll be here all week, tip your waiter. Anybody? What you got up there? I'm sorry, what? What? Fascinating. People meeting people. Somebody else, question? Yes, I got 2 right here. Okay, go ahead. Where? Yeah, I don't know, one of the 2 of you. Yeah, be assertive.
So many students talk about I want to do Writers Week, but or maybe next year. What made you do it this year?
Question.
I did Writers Week as a freshman, so I kind of just wanted to keep it as a tradition, I guess.
Well, considering this is my first year, I guess it was because of my English teacher, because his rating's really good, and I wanted to share mine.
You know, part of why I wrote it about, dare I say, the F word is because I hear about in history and in the news all the time on social media about all the racisms and the sexisms and all this hate and stuff, and I thought, okay, it's horrible that all this happens, but why does it all happen? And then I realized it's fear, whether people want to admit it or not. And yes, there are some times where we all have fear, basically, including myself.
So last year I wanted to do Writers Week, and I remember the deadline was like the night before, so I kind of just threw a bunch of stuff together and I didn't get in, which is obvious. But this year I just tried really hard. I revised my paper probably 15 times with my English teacher, Mrs. Braverman, and I don't know, I'm really nervous still, but it was like an awesome experience, so.
I kept saying every year, like, oh, I'm gonna do it next year. And then it was like the night before you had to submit it, and I was like, oh wait, crap, I'm a senior, there is no next year. So like close to 3 a.m. the night before it was due, I was like, all right, what can I write about? And I had had a bad day, and my best friend had sent me like a little pep talk text, and I was like, all right, I'll write it about her. And so I wrote it at like 3 a.m., printed it out, and turned it in the next day, and hoped for the best.
I kind of, in the previous years of Writers Week, I've kind of admired all the people who come up here and just share an experience of themselves, and I felt like if you needed to tell something maybe to someone else or even to yourself, I felt like getting up in front of an auditorium filled with people who don't know you would be a great idea, and I think it was a great idea.
like all the fun things that go on here with the English department Fremd after I did the Right Life podcast. And Mr. Anderson talked a lot about Writers Week in class, and it just sounded fun.
I've always liked writing. Whenever I would talk about it with my friends, they'd be like, "Do Writers Week," and I was like, "Yeah." And so finally I did it, and I wrote it 8th period the day it was due, so I didn't think I was going to get in. But I did, so I'm really happy.
Do we have one more quick question? What you got?
What's your favorite genre of literature?
That's a quick one. That was good.
Probably realistic fiction.
Realistic fiction.
Realistic fiction.
Probably realistic fiction too.
I like scary stories.
Perhaps realistic fiction.
Fantasy.
Probably realistic fiction too.
Again, thank you so much for being a great audience. Give them a little bit more love before you get up and leave. Come back again. Thanks, guys.
And you just shut my mouth. And you just shut my mouth. No! Why? I gotta run down there.
Pages up?
All the mics are made. Now that as soon as it's clear as the we're not using it. Well, you might like water, just be able to. It's just in the stuff.
Why did you do that though?
I crashed in it